UFC welterweight champion Belal Muhammad absolutely humiliated former welterweight champion Kamaru Usman and 3-time failed title challenger Colby Covington during his UFC 315 media day. And we're going to take a look at a couple different clips from the media day because Belal handled his media day absolutely masterfully. He was asked multiple times about Islam Makhachev potentially moving up to 170. And I thought he answered perfectly. We're going to talk a little bit about Hunter Campbell going to Dagestan to meet with Islam Makhachev. We're going to talk about that. And not only that, we're going to hear from Kamaru Usman because he was brutally humiliated. Well, he recently did an interview with Brett Okamoto, ESPN. We're going to take a look at that. And also Colby Covington posted something online regarding Belal Muhammad, which I thought was the most pathetic and humiliating beta male soy boy move I have seen from Colby Covington in the history of his career. So let's jump right into it. First thing we're going to take a look at is him asked about Hunter Campbell visiting Dagestan to meet with Islam Makhachev and one of his managers. Listen to this.
Belal, we've recently seen pictures of Hunter Campbell over in Dagestan talking to Islam, Habib in Dubai and stuff. And it seems like the vibe is they're waiting to see if you win or lose, right, if he moves up or doesn't. Is there a chance that they've made a decision to move up and challenge you without speaking to you internally? I know you guys are friends and stuff.
No, I don't think they would do that. I talk to Habib all the time. He even messaged me the other day. So, like I said, them guys are so big about loyalty, and I'm the same way.
So there you go. Short and sweet. No, I don't think those guys would do that. Belal knows, and he's actually asked another question, which we're going to take a look at in a second. Belal knows if he gives too long-winded of an answer or he trips up and says something that maybe can be slightly misconstrued, the media will jump on it. The fans will jump on it. Everyone is already just looking for a moment, looking for a clip, looking for a comment from Belal or Islam where they can try to drive that wedge because they would absolutely love, which would be a crazy storyline, Belal Muhammad versus Islam Makhachev for the welterweight title. And that's kind of been the narrative because the UFC is looking for a main event for UFC 317, which is why I want to jump to this. This was getting posted around. I wasn't going to make a dedicated video on this, but this is Hunter Campbell, Islam, one of Islam's managers, and Islam in Dagestan. And people are like, what's going on here? And you can see the post. Hunter Campbell met with Islam Makhachev and his manager in Dagestan, which I just said. So I don't know why I even needed to read that. What do I think was going on here? Since I'm not going to make a dedicated video and it's a perfect time to discuss it, there isn't no way that Hunter Campbell is going to Dagestan to make an Islam Makhachev versus Justin Gaethje matchup. Hunter Campbell has gone there to make an Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria matchup for UFC 317. The UFC is desperately scrambling for a main event. Islam is really the only available champion, and Ilia Topuria is a mega fight. There's going to have to be negotiated terms. Islam's very, very smart. Ilia Topuria is very, very smart. They know what this fight is worth. And Islam's team has already kind of said things like, look, we never got any credit for beating Volkanovski. Why should we fight Topuria? Now, I love the Islam-Topuria matchup. I don't think Topuria earned it. I think he's kind of looked like a spoiled brat the way he's been crying and whining lately. But that's the fight to make. That is a mega fight. And I believe Hunter Campbell is in Dagestan to negotiate Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria, probably with the promise that, listen, you beat Topuria, whatever's going on at welterweight, you can have a welterweight title shot. So if Belal loses the belt, or Belal wins the belt and then moves up or something, they're probably trying to negotiate terms like Ian Machado Gary did when he took the Carlos Prates fight. He said, look, if I fight Carlos Prates, super dangerous guy behind me in the rankings on short notice, I want to be the backup for UFC 315, which he is the backup this week. So I think there could be some negotiations going on like that. But there's no way Islam's negotiating a Belal Muhammad fight. Could you imagine Saturday night, Dana trots out the post-fight media day? He's like, yeah, Islam's next in line to fight Belal. We've already negotiated to fight with him. Now we got to just negotiate with Belal. That would be the craziest storyline ever. It's not going to happen. These are negotiations for Islam versus Topuria if I had to bet my life on it. Next clip, because he's asked about Islam Makhachev multiple times, and again, he gives masterful answers. Listen to this. He's asked about Islam Makhachev.
Can start booking a lot of fights. Is it like every interview it seems to do, that seems to be one of the prevailing questions, like, oh, what about Islam? What about Ilia? What about Shavkat? What about middleweight? So is it get annoying after a while so close to a fight?
Yeah, 100%, right? But for me, it doesn't matter. Like I told all these guys, book your fights right now because I'm not leaving Saturday without the belt.
So perfect answer. Literally perfect answer. Short and sweet. I told everyone book your fights because there's no way I'm leaving UFC 315 without the welterweight title. But again, he kept it really short because he knows if he says anything, the media and the fans are going to try to run with it and misconstrue it and try to drive a wedge between Belal Muhammad and Islam Makhachev. I don't think that would work, honestly, but you never know. You never know. Crazier things have happened, so a perfect answer from Belal. Now, the next question he gets here is about Kamaru Usman, who recently did an interview with Brett Okamoto. At least I think that's Brett Okamoto. I can't tell because the picture quality is so god-awful. Now, the first thing I want to highlight is, well, other than Brett Okamoto's horrible camera quality, is the way he asked this question here, okay? The way he asked this question was like he was fumbling over his words. He was acting like he didn't know the backstory to it, and it was very, very bizarre. He's like, oh, Kamaru, I don't know if I should ask you about this. I don't know how you're going to feel about it. And then Kamaru was like, because Kamaru, I'm telling you right now, we're going to be talking about it throughout the rest of the video, about the Kamaru Usman Belal podcast incident, okay? I can tell Kamaru is mentally broken over this. His ego is hurt over this. And I can just see in this little exchange right here, and then we're going to fast forward and listen to something else Kamaru Usman says that Belal then responds to in the media day, which we'll jump back and watch. Listen to this.
And I got to be honest, I didn't really know that there was this, I don't know how you're going to feel about me bringing this up to you here on camera, but is there some rumor or some
rumor, grown men talking about rumors. And you see the way Usman responded. I don't know how you're going to feel me talking about this. Usman's like, I mean, seriously, just spit it out, Brett.
Questioning over did you go after him on a podcast set or something? Am I behind the news cycle on this? What is the background, the past with you and Belal?
No. What is the background in the past? Now, Kamaru, because he's mentally broken over this incident that happened between him and Belal, I can just tell. I'm telling you, I know for a fact. He gives this long-winded answer. I'm going to skip ahead and give you the most pertinent piece of the answer, and it just drove me nuts. I'm literally skipping like a minute and a half, minute and 15 seconds ahead here. This is still the same answer to that question from Brett Okamoto, where it's like, look, listen, Usman, I'm just doing my job here. Do your job and get a new camera. But I'm just doing my job. I'm just asking you about this because I know it's a touchy topic. He already knew it was a touchy topic because Usman still hasn't released a podcast episode. You're going to hear it talked about a little bit more. In case you've been living under a rock, months and months and months ago, Belal was invited on Kamaru Usman and Henry Cejudo's podcast. It didn't go well. Belal Muhammad allegedly verbally battered Kamaru Usman, and then they never released the episode, which tells me all I needed to know. I've been telling you guys for months. I already know what happened. Usman got embarrassed, and that's why he's not releasing the footage, which we'll talk about more later. But listen to this.
But Belal just seems to be a different type of champion who he's willing to make memes and he's willing to get on Twitter and social media because he wants the attention. He craves that attention.
That really aggravated me because Belal, of all people, when he trash talks, when he quote unquote trash talks, he speaks nothing but facts. And you're going to hear it a little bit from him when I show you the other clips from Media Day as well as the Full Send podcast. But what Kamaru Usman is kind of referencing here is Usman didn't give Belal the time of day when he was a champion. And I'm not saying that was right or wrong, okay? And then Usman started barking nonstop and having Belal's name in his mouth after Belal became champion, which I understand. But then when Belal fired back and said, dude, you haven't won a fight in years. You haven't won a fight in years. You're on a losing streak, bro. Get a win before you talk about my name. And Usman's real upset about that. Oh, he's posting memes and he's talking on Twitter. Oh, my God. Belal speaks nothing but facts. Oh, so you go after him, he shoots back, which I've covered multiple Belal interviews on this channel. Now you want to cry about it? I mean, seriously, cry me a river, bro. But let's continue.
Even if you're a lightweight, even if you're a guy that's a flyweight that's not even in his division, he's willing to have that back and forth with you. And for me, I just find it a little bit distasteful, and I wasn't a part of it. And then
I find every interview you do, Kamaru, where you're talking like you're gathered around a campfire telling a spooky story, I find that distasteful.
Yeah, like I said, he became champion. He started to come at me with that energy. It was like, oh, you have a problem with me? Well, if you have a problem, I don't really play the internet game. Let's talk it out. And so, yeah.
Sounds like someone's cutting the grass in the background.
We invited him on a podcast, and, it went how it went. That's all I could say. Eventually, hopefully, we'll release that podcast because it wasn't really. He was only there for like maybe 10 minutes. It wasn't really long, and then it was over and he left.
There's a whole lot of rigmarole, if you ask me. Whole lot of rigmarole. Okay, so maybe one day it'll get released. He was on a podcast. Maybe one day. You aren't releasing it because you got embarrassed. I would bet my life on that. Gun to my head. Did Kamaru Usman get verbally embarrassed by Belal Muhammad on his own podcast? I say yes, and I think I live. But let's continue.
Yeah, that was about it. But I mean, he's fighting this coming weekend, so I'm sure he's focused on that, and and I'm focused on my fight June 14th with Joaquin Buckley.
For sure. Does it rise to the level of if you guys were like backstage at a UFC event that neither of you were competing on, the security would need to be aware of where you are? Does it like rise to that level?
Probably.
Wow.
Wow. Well, you're going to need security. I mean, if I see Brett Hakamoto and his camera quality backstage at a UFC event, we're going to need security. They're going to have to pull me off a heavy Boston Crab. Okay? Because one, the camera quality, I can barely tell, but look at this look. Look at this look. Man, you're going to need security, bro. You're going to need security. And this specific quote, Kamaru Usman saying, we're going to need security, is what Belal is asked about next during the media day. Listen to this.
What do you make of Usman's, he's saying like if you guys are backstage together, you might need extra security after the issues you guys have had.
Who?
Kamaru Usman.
The former champion on a 3-fight losing streak. I would have to be afraid of that guy with no knees and no cartilage and a big head. Nah, man, I think I'll be fine.
The best part is I can tell Usman is really actually kind of sensitive about his losing streak. I think it's only a 2-fight losing streak, though, because he's been rather No, it's a 3-fight losing streak. I'm an idiot. He lost to Leon twice. Head kick KO decision, then lost to Hamzat Chimaev. But again, from Belal, you can say he's talking trash. He's spitting nothing but facts. Oh, I'm supposed to be scared of Kamaru Usman, who's on a 3-fight losing streak, hasn't won a fight in years. I was in my 20s. The last time Usman got a win is what Bilal's thinking, okay? And he's 38 years old, 37 years old. Spitting nothing but facts, embarrassing Kamaru Usman for saying, we need security. Yeah, dude, you got no knees. You're on a 3-fight losing streak. You haven't won a fight in years. You've been inactive. Get a win first. And that's what Belal has consistently said. But that's not it, because there's more. There's more where he talks about Usman and Colby. And because I don't know the exact order he talks about it in this next clip, I'm going to show you what Colby did, okay? So you can have full context here. Listen to this. This is what Colby is now posting online. He's this desperate. He's this pathetic. He's this much of a complete humiliation to the UFC. Hasn't won a fight in years. UFC 272 is the last time Colby got a win against a washed-up Jorge Masvidal. And this is the antics that he is now resorting to after he ran from Ian Machado Gary like his life depended on it. This is what he's resorting to for attention now. Listen to this.
We took Bilal's food and we hid it in the back fucking corner so he would never be able to see it, dude.
Guys, you just saw Bilal's meal in here, so we're gonna hide it from you so they can't fucking find it. Belal, your food is...
This is more pathetic than you actually think, too. We're gonna get to it in a second.
No one's finding that.
I don't know. Anybody gonna find that? Belal? Sorry, Belal, you're a fucking bum. That's what happens to bums.
It's probably still there. He ain't smart enough to look around that fridge. Nope. He's dumber than a box of rocks.
Colby has no room calling anybody dumb. And also, that's what happens to a bum. You are a grown man, potentially hiding another grown man's lunch. You had 3 opportunities at a welterweight title, 2 of them undeserved. 2 of them undeserved. Okay, and the last one that you had, you went out there, refused to fight, shit your britches like they went out of style. Then after you lost that, the biggest fight you had available to you against Ian Machado Gary, you ran from him like your life depended on it. And now you're calling Belal, who did in 1 very deserved opportunity what you couldn't do in 3. You're calling him a bum and hiding his lunch. But it gets even more pathetic than that. Because if this is recent footage, Bilal's not in Vegas. He's in Montreal for UFC 315. So Colby, for attention, desperately looking to be an influencer or a podcaster or a 40-year-old Nelk boy, is writing Bilal's name on a brown paper bag and hiding it for YouTube clout. for social media clout. Think about how embarrassing that is. He made up this entire thing. When he's not running from Temba Garimbo, he's writing Belal's name on a brown paper bag, looking to clout chase Belal's name because Belal is actually the welterweight champion, something Colby will never lay claim to, an undisputed welterweight champion. The guy that Belal went out there and dominated in Leon Edwards and dropped him on his bald spot, Colby ran from the entire fight, refused to fight him because he was so terrified. And this dude is staging, hiding lunches of other grown men for clout. Think about how pathetic that is. Now, this could be older footage, but he's high. I mean, think about how, but imagine him with a pen. Oh, you know what would be really fun? Imagine being the guy behind the camera filming this. You know what would be real funny, bro? Let me write Belal's name on a brown paper bag and hide it and pretend I'm hiding his lunch even though he's not even in the state or the country. Think about how pathetic that is. And that is what Belal talks about next. Usman as well as Colby here. I'm not sure exactly what order.
And then lastly, I just saw a video online. Colby Covington hid your food at the PI. I don't know if you're aware of that or if you even care, but curious what you think about Colby still throwing shots at you at this point.
He hid my food. I'm not even in Vegas. That's how much of a moron he is. I don't know what he's doing. These guys are like YouTubers now. Kamaru's a podcaster. Colby's a YouTuber. They need to do a podcast together, the Biggest Losers.
And last one, speaking of that.
Facts. Facts. 100% fact. These dudes are YouTubers now. I told you guys for years, Colby was only interested in fighting old men and getting undeserved title shots. That's the only time you'd fight someone younger than him, not on a losing streak. Kamaru Usman's been sitting out for years. Finally, he took a fight against Joaquin Buckley. But Belal points that out. Again, trash talking, but speaking nothing but facts. Yeah, these guys should start a podcast, The Biggest Losers. I could see Usman and Colby eventually doing an episode in like another year or two. I 100% see that happening. And I don't know who's going to tune in for that because that sounds like imagine Cejudo, Usman, and Colby all on a podcast. Ew. But then he's next asked about Kamaru Usman.
That podcast, do you think there's a reason they haven't put it out yet? Or do you think they may be holding it in case he gets a title shot? Or is there a reason why? Did he come off worse is basically what I'm asking.
No, I mean, if you're a grown man and you start crying on a podcast, and it's your podcast, and you start tearing up, why would you want to put it out there? Unless there's like a really good editor that's going to try to clear it up. But I don't think they got that much money.
Look, I 100% believe this is facts. Usman is embarrassed of what happened, and he would only potentially release it to help build up a potential title fight between the two of them. Even then, I don't think it's going to happen. Why wouldn't they release that? When O'Malley came in and humiliated Henry Cejudo and just dipped and dashed in the middle of an interview, they released it right away because they knew it would get clicks and it would get views. Why won't they release the podcast other than Usman looks like a whiny little bitch crybaby who ran away and now we're not getting to see the footage because Usman is embarrassed and his ego is hurt? Because I guarantee you Belal was spitting facts and Usman didn't like it. And he clarifies that a little bit more on the Nelk Boys podcast, the Full Send podcast, which he also did earlier this week. Listen to this. I'll link all these videos down in the description if you want to go check them out in their entirety. Listen to this.
But then when I won the belt, now he wants to like talk, right? And his ego is so big. I went on his podcast.
What was good with the mystery podcast? Have you ever talked about that or no?
I've talked about it, said about it, but like for me, I understand why they wouldn't want to put it out, right? Like if you're on a podcast with somebody, if I was on a podcast with you and I made you cry on your own podcast, like you're going to hold that in and you're not going to want to put it out there.
What happened?
We were on his podcast and Henry Cejudo like was like, you know, how does it feel to be champion? And, you know, you're at the top now. And I'm like, you know, it feels good right now because everybody wants to listen to you. Everybody thinks you're the champ. Everybody has to look up at you now. And Usman's like, I was a champ too. I was like, yeah, but you're not the champ anymore. And then he just couldn't let it go. He's like, but I'm right there. I was like, nah, bro, you're on a 3-fight losing streak. And he's like, I still had the belt. And I was like, I'm the champion now. But he just couldn't give me my props, right?
Can you not see it going down just like that? Usman like, well, I used to be a champion. I'm right there. No, bro, you're on a 3-fight losing streak. Get over it, bro. Stop being Uncle Rico.
It was just one of those where he was just like, but anything you do, I do better than you. And then I was like, but you didn't take the head kick better than me. And I think that just like triggered him where he was.
I want to see this footage so bad. I know that broke Kamaru Usman's heart. You didn't take that head kick better because you got slumped out in the 5th round. I know that sits in Usman's crawl. He won the entire fight just to get head kicked in the 5th round. And now knowing he'll never be champion again and Belal's making fun of him to his face, by the way. I wasn't sure if this was over Zoom or what. It gets even stupider here in a second.
He was just like, I don't play these games, man. It's on site when people talk like that. And I'm just like, we're right in front of each other on site. So then, you know,
you guys did it in person?
Yeah, it was in person.
Oh, because they do it over Zoom sometimes too.
No, this was in person. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
We had the same manager, right?
Yeah.
So tell me that's not something Usman would do. Man, when people talk to me like that, bro, it's on site. Bro, I'm sitting right in your face right now, you bum. You 3-fight losing streak bum. It makes no sense. Usman would say some dumb shit like that because I actually think he might be a little bit dumb, okay? But it's just so funny because I don't have any doubts that Belal is telling a very accurate version of events. Everyone's going to have their own interpretation of what actually went down. I don't think Belal is making up any bold-faced lies. And if he verbally assaulted Kamaru Usman like this, there's no doubt that Kamaru Usman got his feelings hurt. I don't know if he actually physically cried. There was tears running down his face. But there's no doubt you could tell he was really butthurt. And there's a reason he doesn't want to release the footage. I mean, he would release it right now. It's UFC Fight Week for Belal in the main event of a pay-per-view. Why wouldn't he release it? It would get all the attention on a potential Belal-Usman matchup. A potential physical altercation regardless. He doesn't want to release it because he got humiliated by Belal. And if you guys have been watching the channel at all, I've been talking about Belal's one of the most well-spoken fighters on the entire UFC roster. Nobody gives him the credit for his fighting skills. They're starting to. And no one gives him credit for he's one of the best speakers on the entire UFC roster. And he embarrassed Usman and to his face. And now Usman doesn't want to release the footage.
Ali was like,
Ali's the GOAT.
Bro, yeah, he's the man. And when he told me to go do their podcast, I was like, are you sure? He said, no, brother, it's going to be professional. It's going to be this. Like, you're good. I was like, bro, it doesn't matter to me. Like, I'm the champ. I don't really care. I'll go on the podcast. And then, you know, Henry Cejudo twisted his ankle, had to break it up. But
oh, you guys actually got into a physical?
Yeah. But
have you guys said that publicly ever or no?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's
didn't know
put out there. But like I said, they had the footage, right? Maybe he's waiting to
so you guys actually got into it. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Damn. So that would be a good build-up for a fight then, 100%.
Right? Like, he wins the Buckley fight, put it out there. But like I said, they got to have the right editors, the right people to fix it all up, to hide his tears.
So there you go. And I 100% believe Belal here. 100% believe him. Usman needs to release the footage. Belal verbally assaulted him, embarrassed him right to his face. And now he won't even release the podcast. You know how pathetic that is? I mean, I partially get it. But Belal hurt this man's feelings so bad that he won't release a 10-minute, 15-minute video. And I'm glad Belal's out here calling him out for it. You know, whether it's Colby for potentially stealing his lunch, allegedly made up fictional story. I mean, that is just super pathetic. And then Usman talking about, we're going to need security. He's like, what am I going to need security from a guy on a 3-fight losing streak? Yeah, right. And by the way, Belal would absolutely wash Kamaru Usman at this point in his career. I don't know if that fight's ever going to happen because I don't know if Usman gets by Buckley, which is coming up a month away, which is insane how close the UFC's announcing fights to their actual dates. But love hearing this stuff from Belal because everyone tries to like pick on Belal and like they look at the fans, a decent portion of the fans shitting on Belal. And what certain fighters try to do is they try to jump on those narratives. It's like the low-hanging fruit. Usman's been trying to do that to get a title shot, and then Belal's been embarrassing him and humiliating him, and Usman doesn't like it. And he's like, I don't play those games, buddy. So good on Belal for calling it out. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and thank you so much for watching.